I didn't hear you acknowledge the charge of, the risk of injury to your son.
This is an 85% case because of the arson, right?
Yes,
The
sir.
arson second with bodily injury.
Because of what you did. So it would go a long way. And you didn't express any concern for your son who was the victim.
So in that situation, an officer and myself was horse playing in a scullery. And I went to SEG for that.
We're about to watch the parole hearing for two Connecticut women who have jackets loaded with crimes, violent crimes, dangerous crimes, shocking crimes, yet they seem to get away with it time and time again. Now, I might say maybe it's gender disparity, or is that the right word? I don't know, but it seems that maybe women get shorter sentences than men, maybe judges and DAs or more lenient with them. But the bottom line is, in the state of Connecticut and in many states that we cover, they in general don't seem to give very harsh sentences to the most dangerous of felons. Now we'll watch these parole hearings, both of them back to back, and I'm going to share information with you on some of them that might shock you. Now with that, let's jump in.
Jessica Lee Tanner, 431-991.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Jessica Lee Tanner, inmate number 431-991. She is serving a sentence of 4 years and 6 months for risk of injury to a minor, failure to appear first, operating under suspension, 3 counts of failure to appear second, larceny fifth, larceny fourth, and violation of probation, larceny fourth as the underlying offense. As of today, records reflect parole eligibility date of May 13th, 2023. There is no victim info in the case. There is an offender accountability plan that has been reviewed and shows that she has completed voices in tier 2, utilizing the women's risk needs assessment warrant. The offender's overall score per recidivating falls within the moderate range. Ms. Tanner, this is your opportunity to tell the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to speak today. And I understand that the way I was going in my life was not a good way. And at first I was very upset with such a long sentence to take me away from my family. But after sitting here for so long, I appreciate the fact that I've been here for so long. After I see people come in and out every few months, and for me to be able to have the opportunity to sit here and actually focus and get my life back on track, to get my mental health in order, to take classes, and to just get myself in a better position so that I could better serve my community and be there for my child.
Thank you, Ms. Tanner. We've read about your history, what you've done since you've been in. Based upon that, we have some questions for you and to arrive at your suitability for parole. And the Office of Victim Services will also have a statement that is going to be read. And then we're going to talk about your case and we'll give you a decision, okay?
Okay, thank you.
And we're going to start questions today with Board Member Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ms. Tanner, for your opening statement. I think I would have liked to have heard a little bit more about your acceptance of responsibility in some of these situations. But one of the things that I noticed in reading your documentation is that substance abuse plays a big role in the things that have occurred and in the things that have occurred prior to all of this. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about what's different about all of that today, and what have you learned? What skill sets have you learned that will make your release a really successful transition back into the community?
Okay, and I did write a letter that I was going to read, but they wouldn't let me bring it in. So sorry, I was just a bit nervous. But I began doing drugs at a young age to kind of deal with a lot of trauma and mental health issues. And it brought me down a really negative road, and I began isolating myself from my family and just making decisions that I normally wouldn't make. And being here, I actually gotten on mental health medication. I've done anger management and coping skills groups, and learned about like positive outlets for my feelings and how to express myself so that I don't end up in the same position as I was before. And I've created a strong circle with my immediate family, with my brother and my cousin, my mother and my grandmother, to help me to transition home and get to the place that I ultimately want to be.
I mean, I know I've read that you have, I mean, you have a lot of positive opportunities for yourself, right? You have a degree that you
Yes.
received. You have some work experience, employment experience. I mean, these are really positive things that can be very helpful for you.
Yes.
But the glitch in all of it, separate from whatever mental health issues you're having, is really this substance abuse. And what I'm trying to get from you is what is your relapse recovery plan on the
Um,
outside that
okay.
will really help you kind of be able to maintain your sobriety, since that's what's really kind of in question here with all that's happened with you.
Okay, I am going to get a recovery coach. Immediately upon release, I'm going to sign up for classes at McCall's to do relapse prevention and therapy. And I also am going to look into NA meetings in the Northwest corner of Connecticut, and just try to keep my support so that I stay sober. And I'm
Okay,
also going to
go
be
ahead.
living with my older brother out in Canaan. So I'll be living in a different area, and he has a farm. So I'll be helping him with the animals and staying busy.
What about work?
I do have a job opportunity from Yankee Career Services. I had that letter with me too, but they also would not let me bring that with me. But I need to have
Did
a
you
car.
provide that to the parole officer?
No, I didn't. But I could have it sent to him. I could put it in a thing and send it to him.
Sometimes, because we really like to kind of look at verification of,
He has it. He said that if you
No,
needed to
I'm
see.
not asking to get it now, but because I'm sure we can get it verified.
Okay, and then I need to get a car before I can take that position, but because it is like 20 minutes away from where I'm going to be living. So my brother has spoken to the manager at Dunkin' Donuts. So I'm going to get a full-time job at Dunkin' Donuts in Canaan while I'm saving money to get a car.
Okay, so let's go back and with your programming and just share with me. You taken voices and you completed voices.
Okay.
You've completed tier 2,
Yes.
right? You've got some second Pell opportunity. You're currently in that.
Second
You're,
Pell.
you're currently your second chance Pell program.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So you've got those 3 things going. With between voices and tier 2, can you just share with me which of those programs or which of the programs that you've taken have given you the most significant skills that you think you'll be able to utilize on the outside?
I think that I got separate things from each one. I think tier 2 was really important to have me focus on myself, because instead of worrying about what is happening around me, to just focus on me and getting myself through to make myself strong enough to deal with everything that's happening. And voices was really important to me because it taught me that victims in all sorts of cases are affected by my actions. So it made me think a lot about the things that I've done and the way that they were affected to the people, not just the victims, like when I was stealing from stores, but just my family and everybody involved in my life and what they went through to when I did what I did.
So you have, well, that's good. So you have one child
Yes.
that's currently living with the paternal grandfather.
Yes.
And do you have any contact with that child?
Yes, I do. I speak to him every day.
And how's that relationship?
It's very well. I am going to implement, I don't want it to be too much of a shock for him when I get home. So we're going to slowly re-ingrade him into my care. And, but I talk to him every day. I read him a bedtime story, have him brush his teeth. I try to be as involved in his life as I can from here.
But that's probably going to be a slow progress.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, and reconnecting and rebonding in that situation.
Yeah. I know.
And what's the relationship with the grandfather?
I'm very close with him as well. He's like a father figure to me. Me and his son aren't together anymore, but we were together for 11 years since I was 14. So he's been a very like important figure in my life.
And where is that relationship at now?
Good. I still speak to him. I still speak to him all the time. Most of the time, when I call, I speak to my son, but at least once or twice a week, I usually talk to him to find out how my son is doing in school and stuff like that. And he's close with my mother as well.
Okay, that's a significant. Those relationships are kind of significant to make sure you have them on board.
Yes.
I do notice that there were some DRs in your stay. They were a while back, with the most recent one being in June
Yes.
of last year. What happened?
I got an out of place ticket for being in another inmate's room.
Yeah.
So I was like in her doorway and we were having a conversation and it just got carried away. And so I got an out of place ticket.
You know, the rest were a little bit older that you've had. So you really haven't had anything since then that I can see. What's your plan around, how have you done any planning around your mental health services? And I don't want you to get into any kind of in-depth issues around your mental health, but have you done any planning around your mental health services?
Yes, I'm gonna go to McCall's and get therapy and see a psychiatrist.
Okay, so that's your plan. That's basically your plan to do.
Yes.
Okay.
They offer addiction services and mental health services. So,
Any additional education that you're thinking about?
I'm actually enrolled in Stratford right now, a start your own business class through the mail. And when I complete this, I want to take a fashion design class and a real estate class to try to get into working in real estate.
Your degree was in interior design?
Interior design, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of a combination, real estate, interior design. What was the other one?
Yeah.
What's the Stratford one?
Fashion design.
Fashion design. That's interesting. Okay. Um, okay, Mr. Chairman, I don't really have a whole lot of additional questions right now. I'd like to reserve that at this point.
Thank you, Board Member Rodriguez.
Mr.
Board
Chairman,
Member
thank you
Chan.
for answering my questions at this moment.
Thank you.
Okay, so, Ms. Tanner, I just wanna, continue on a question. Did, your son's grandfather adopt your son?
Yes.
He did.
Yes.
So how is that going to work when you go back out and, as you said, try to get in transition to come back and live with you?
The manner we went about having him adopt him is so that when I do come home, he said that we've wrote up a thing that I have to be sober for a year outside of jail and get my own apartment and have a stable life for him, and then he can start coming over on weekends and eventually integrate him back to living with me. It's ultimately up to him, they said, to if I'm fit enough to have him back.
So, that was a pretty serious charge, and I didn't hear you acknowledge the charge of, the risk of injury to your son because of what you did. So it would go a long way, and you didn't express any concern for your son who was the victim.
Yes, I understand. I'm very ashamed from what happened. And I realize how lucky I am that my son was not harmed in this situation. And I'm very grateful for that. And I really do feel extremely guilty towards my son for ever putting him in that position. And that is a lot of where my motivation comes from to better my life and be the kind of mother that he deserves, because it could have been a lot worse. And I understand that.
Yeah. So, the PO asked you about a high-risk situation for you, and you said being around bad people and being pulled back into old lifestyle, and that you plan to make new friends who are not involved in drugs. How are you going to do that? Because I am happy to hear you share that with the PO.
I'm not going back to the area that I was in. I'm going to live with my brother in Canaan. And so I'll be with him and his wife and be able to be in a new community and meet new people. And just honestly, I just want to focus on my family, not even really like friendships or anything like that. Like, I just want to spend time with my brother, my grandmother, and be the mother that my son needs.
Yeah. You also know that in the real world, it can't be just you and your close family. That, yes, that will work for a time, but, for someone like yourself who depended on, friends in the past, you just need to make sure you have a balanced lifestyle.
I understand.
Right? And
Yes.
Since you had identified your high risk as being around friends, somewhere in your release plan, you have to eventually figure out how you're going to do that.
Yeah, I do have, so a lot of my friends that I'm still friends with are friends from like childhood, that when I was using drugs, I separated myself from them and completely cut them off because I knew that they would not approve of my choices in life. So since being in jail, I have reconnected with them. So I do have 3 very close girlfriends that are going to help me get through this as well.
Good. So you have addressed that high risk, and I'm
Yes.
glad to hear that. Now, do you have your driver's license or?
I do have my license, but it is currently suspended.
Right.
I have a ticket that I have to pay, but I have already paid the suspension fee. So I just have to pay the ticket in order to get my license reinstated.
Okay, so you cannot drive without your license because one of your charges was driving while your
Right.
license was suspended.
So
Okay.
I at that time, I did not know my license was suspended because I didn't pay a ticket from New York, but I didn't understand that the ticket from New York coincide with Connecticut to suspend my license. So I wasn't aware at that time that my license was suspended, but I have addressed it since then. And that is another reason why I've worked to get a job local to my brother's house so that he won't have to transport me to and from the Yankee Courier Services that is like 20 minutes away. So that's why I'm gonna work at the Dunkin' for a little while just to get my license situated and my my vehicle in order so that I can bring myself to work and not put it on him since he's already doing
Okay.
so much for me.
So, the PO hasn't heard from your brother. So if you talk with him, you might want to mention to him that he has to try and reconnect with the PO. In the meantime, if we are going to, if that's where we're going today, we're gonna have to add a halfway house until the PO hears from your brother.
Oh, my brother has to call him? I thought
But
that,
yeah,
I
yeah,
thought he would, okay, I'll tell my brother today and have him call him.
okay. All right, so.
And that's voice for, correct?
Yes,
Can
Okay,
yeah,
I have him call the facility, ask for parole, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday of next week is when I'll be available.
okay.
all right. So thank you for sharing today and good luck, Ms. Tanner.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, there was a lot of talk about pro-social support out there, in terms of family and stuff. I'm really glad that you started off by talking about a recovery coach. That's huge. And I don't know if you know it or not, but Canaan is a real big area for young people in recovery.
I didn't know that.
There's a couple of really, really good groups there. And some are people your age who are moms in recovery. So that would be something really good for you to connect with. There's some AA meetings and some NA meetings there.
Okay, that's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that recovery coach is going to know about that.
Okay,
So that's why that's so important for you to connect with,
Yeah.
and that's your road to success, So we're going to listen now. The Office of Victim Services has a statement that they want to read from the victim. You're not allowed to speak during that time, and then we're going to talk about your case. Okay.
okay, thank you.
The chair would recognize the Office of Victim Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, board members and Mr. Chair. Would like to quote the legal guardian. Him and I have been playing phone tag, but he left me a voice message stating what he wanted me to read here today. And it states, I don't have any issues with her being released. That's all I have. Thank you.
Board Member Rodriguez.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I didn't hear that.
Did you hear the victim statement?
I did not hear that.
So just to recap for you, the victim on voicemail left for Ms. Vasquez a statement that said that they did not have any problem with Ms. Tanner's release.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'm sorry, I just couldn't hear it.
Thank you, OVS, and
Thank
for your facilitating input there. Mr. Rodriguez.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Tanner sounds really very good today. I did have an issue initially with not having acknowledged responsibility or remorse. My guess is that it may have been on the letter that she wrote that she didn't bring in with her, that might have been a little bit more extensive. She did subsequently respond to that concern when panel members Chance asked her about it and talked to her about it, and did talk about her guilt and shame related to the offense. So she did acknowledge that. And of course, my other concern was her substance abuse issues. However, having heard her today, she sounds as if she's really focusing in on her sobriety. She started out talking about a recovery coach when she started out her discussions with us. So those couple of positive things. She took tier 2. She's completed voices. I think she's really gained some insight from both of those programs that she's been able to take. She's got a very positive educational background, and in fact, probably has a good mixture of what she can pull together to really create a nice career for herself if she can maintain her sobriety and continue on that path going forward. She talked about having a job opportunity with Dunkin' Donuts, so there's some employment opportunities for her on the outside when she leaves. She talked about living with her brother and not going back to the neighborhood where she was, which I think is also a very positive piece of her release plan. I think she's really taken some opportunity to work on that. She worked on one of her issues that she said would be problematic with her, which is kind of developing these positive relationships with these young, women in the community that would be supportive of her efforts and stuff. She talked about wanting to. Oh, she talked about already preparing for her mental health situation and her mental health issues, and already has a program identified where she can really kind of get those services provided. So again, also now adding to that now the victim statement, which the victim has no problem with her release at this point. I would be in favor of granting discretionary parole to Ms. Tanner, I believe effective
Yep,
Today.
you got it.
today. Today,
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you,
yeah, I would be in favor of supporting discretionary parole from Ms. Tanner today, because of all of these efforts that she's placed on her work while incarcerated and on her rehabilitation while she's been there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
board
Chair.
member Chance?
I agree with all that my colleague, Mr. Rodriguez, has said. I'm in favor of release today.
As do I. I have halfway house if necessary, and that's the only reason is that we haven't heard from connected with the brother yet. Mental health evaluation and treatment is deemed necessary. No contact with DK without parole officer's permission.
Yeah, police.
And co-defendants.
And no contact with TK.
And Kristen.
No, just relationship to TK,
He's my son's father.
your son's father,
Yes.
So that would be.
without parole officer's permission.
Correct.
And no contact with KD.
Christine.
Yeah, okay.
They're police. so-
And that's Christine is not related to you?
No, she's actually deceased.
She's deceased.
Yes.
And I had no driving without you.
Correct. No driving without PO permission. No motor vehicle.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yep, almost all set. In regard to Jessica Lee Tanner, number 431991, move to grant parole on or after April 19th, 2024, with the following stipulations: halfway house placement if necessary. Mental health evaluation and treatment is deemed necessary. No operation of motor vehicle without parole officer's permission. No contact with victim DK without parole officer's permission. No contact with TK without parole officer's permission. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Ms. Tanner, you've been voted to parole It's going to take a little while for it to get worked out with Parole and Community Services. But we wish you well. You're on the right track, and I really have positive outlook for you. You know,
And strong positive feelings for you being able to go out there and make it, Ms. Tanner.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
But this concludes for Jessica Lee Tanner.
Wait,
Nope,
Did
you're
you
all
say
set.
for me?
Okay,
okay.
you're all set. Yep.
Who do you want me to send in next?
Okay, and they granted, and look, it's probably one of the better parole hearings in terms of she seemed to have her ducks in a row of her AA and having the plan. And I'm not going to go crazy on this one. The next one really is what fires me up. You know, this is a kind of a classic case of someone who has really had a
Hi,
Morning.
good morning. How are you?
Sorry, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
problem with substances. And if you look at her record, it goes on. I'll just read it to you what Sir Richard found. I'll also give you an update. I am covering this parole hearing on June 11, 2025, which is from the time of this parole hearing date, a year and 2 months, basically. And she's not in trouble. She has not gotten locked back up. So she's still doing well. I'm happy to report on that. Now, they don't talk about what the risk of injury was to her son. You know it must be bad. I don't know at all what it was, though, but maybe we can come to it while we wait for this next hearing to start. She has 11/12/2020. She has 5th degree larceny, 6 months but suspended sentence. 3/25/2021, 4th degree larceny, 1 year jail, suspended sentence. 3/25, also 2021, 5th degree larceny. 10/27/2020, which is a month before the 5th degree larceny. That's 4th degree larceny. 3/30/2021. Another 5th degree larceny. It's just the classic, substance abuse stuff. You're going in there, stealing stuff, you're getting arrested. Then she has the illegal driving while under suspension, 7/20/2022, failure to appear. The risk of injury to a child is the same arrest date for the illegal driving under operation. So I'm guessing she was driving
Mr. Chair.
while under intoxication when she got the risk of injury to a child. But I almost wonder if it was more than that. Was there an accident? Did she run away from the cops? They just don't talk about it because they talk about in the hearing what you did to your son. You didn't talk about what you did to your son, and it makes me think there's got to be more to it, right? It's strange, it's like, who cares if you didn't get to take in your note? Wouldn't it be the first thing on your mind, the injury that you caused your child? Wouldn't that be what's on the tip of your tongue that you want to apologize for? Wouldn't you be emotional about it? Unless you just don't care. I didn't get the sense. Some mothers you listen to and you get the sense that they care a lot. They're broken about being separated, and others you just don't get it. I didn't get any of it here, I'll tell you that.
My name is Heather Freeman,
And your inmate number, please.
426148.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Heather Freeman, inmate number 426148. She is serving a sentence of 4 years with 8 years special parole for violation of probation with carrying a pistol without a permit as the underlying offense, as well as assault third, evading, assault 2, and arson second. As of today, records reflecting parole eligibility date January 19th, 2024. There is no victim input in the case. There is an offender accountability plan that has been reviewed and shows she is currently participating in the Tier 2 program as well as the cosmetology program. Utilizing the women's risk needs assessment, one of the offender's overall score for recidivity falls within the medium range. Ms. Freeman, this is your opportunity to tell the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. I was surprised. I did write you guys something, but unfortunately I wasn't able to bring it today. I think I should be granted parole because I've taken these 3 years right here to reflect over myself. I've been in the program here for the past 11 months called sorry, I'm a little nervous right now. The Prison Fellowship Academy program is a year-long program. It works on resolving conflict, anger management, learning boundaries, what a boundary is, why it's important to have a boundary, understanding why it's important to say no. I graduate from this program on May 30th. Again, it's a year-long program, and I've been in it consistently every Tuesday and Thursday from 6:30 to 8:45 p.m. I graduate from the Tier 2 program on May 22nd as well. I completed culinary and now I'm in cosmetology. I've taken this time to reflect over the traumatic experience that I've endured as a child. I've identified that my problems of drug use didn't happen because of what I've experienced in my adult life, but what I've experienced in my childhood. So that's what I've been working on in these past 3 years. I understand my crimes and what I did. I hurt some people, and I want you guys to know that I apologize to the victims in my case because I want the victims to know that I am sorry for what has happened, and anyone that did show up to my hearing today, I hope they do understand that my apology does come from a sincere place. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Freeman. So,
Yes,
we've read all about your case. What you, prior to you coming to this incarceration, what you've done while incarcerated, and based upon that, we have some questions for you.
Yes, sir.
Then we're going to talk about your case and we're going to give you a decision, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So where we are, just so that we know. So this is an 85% case because of the arson, right?
Yes,
The
sir.
arson second with bodily injury. And your EOS date is somewhere in August, right?
Yes, sir.
So we're talking about, a difference of less than, 4 months, right?
Yes, sir.
Um, and I appreciate you going through what you went through, and telling us what you've done. Just real quick, the program that ends May 30th is what program?
Prison Fellowship Academy. It's the first program that's been introduced to York Correctional Women Facility. It's a program that's been around for over 52 years. It's normally introduced to the men's prisons.
Good. And so talk a little bit more about that. Did it help like in the area of, say, substance use and other things like that as well, or?
Yes, sir. It helped in substance abuse. It helps with re-entering the community. What it helps in your triggers, you and identifying with what you're going to be up against with the people that you're going to be around, what people are going to remind you of the behaviors, your behaviors. of what brought you to using drugs? Are you going to put yourself in that position? Are you going to go sit in a bar and have a drink when you don't drink anymore? Are you going to be in the same places or around the same people? No, I'm not.
And how you're gonna handle that?
Yes. How I'm going to handle that is that I'm not going to allow myself to be around the same people, places, or things. How I'm going to handle that is I'm going to be in therapy. I am going to allow myself to be in voluntary services. I do want any services that are provided for me to be able to give back to the community, anything that I can help and support my community.
Right. And so that where I was going with that was during the Prison Fellowship Academy, they dealt with and what you were gonna do with it, right?
Yes, sir.
So it's like a full thought through kind of thing.
Yes, sir.
So have you ever dealt with smart recovery?
No, I've never done smart recovery.
So smart recovery sounds a lot like what you're talking about.
Okay,
It's, here's situations, and if I go into that situation, these are my options. That's,
okay.
go ahead.
I get what you're saying now. So, I guess what you're saying, like in smart recovery, these are my options if this presents itself.
Yeah, and so that sounds a lot like what you went over in Prison Fellowship Academy.
Yes,
Right?
sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
so that's a really good thing. Out here, it's called Smart Recovery.
Yes, sir.
It's really it's a good program to be in, especially where you are with having to deal with substance use,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yeah.
And you're in tier 2 with that now, going to finish up in another month or so. What have you come up with for options there? What have you explored in there so far?
In tier 2?
Yep.
In tier 2, we worked on family matters. We worked on the wounded child is the wounded woman. So I dealt with a lot of the traumatic experience that I endured as a child. So I opened up some of those wounds that needed to heal. I wrote a lot of summaries with the material that they provided for me, and I was able to be able to speak in a safe environment and have that confidentiality in the environment that I was in to be able to express those things and be able to heal from those wounds.
Okay. And you have you've been able to also do a couple of programs, right? That cosmetology and you're in now, right? And
Yes.
you also did culinary.
Yes, sir. I'm also currently doing coping skills as it is provided in the unit. Sisters Standing Strong is a women's support group in the unit, and art therapy is a group that's provided in the unit. It's one day out of the week, the 3 of those groups in the unit.
And those are going well for you.
Yes, sir.
Good. So with the vocational programs you're able to take, do you think that that's going to give you the opportunity to have more of a chance when it comes to employment in the community?
Yes, sir. I'm very hopeful.
Okay. And you want to come out to a halfway house in Bridgeport in New Haven?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Both of those communities have solid reentry programs.
Okay.
And I just need to tell you that the arson second charge is a really difficult one, right?
I understand. Yes, sir.
So I would get connected with reentry services
Yes, sir.
because you're going to need to find employment where they're gonna take a look at that and be able to help you find a place that will employ you,
Yes, sir.
all right?
Yes, sir.
That's gonna be important for you to do. Just
Yes.
don't go out there and think you're on your own,
Okay.
right? And certainly that parole officer, you have 8 years of special parole after this sentence. And you know, the parole officer's there not as, you know, the person that's trying to catch you doing something, whatever, you know, whatever. Of course, they're monitoring to make sure you're doing the right thing, right?
Yes, sir.
But they're a resource. They want you to be successful.
Yes, sir.
So if you're facing challenges, talk to them,
Yes, sir.
you know, and that way you'll be able to get some help there. You know, you talked about Sister Standing Strong in tier 2 and coping skills, things like that. Have you done anything with like a recovery plan for when you're released? What you think you're going to be doing in the community to make sure? You know, I know that you have some background with AA and NA. And I know that you've gone to a couple of places for support, you know, in the past. But what are you going to do to, you know, to make sure? Because, you know, once that particular addiction starts, you wind up there in order to get stopped, right? Is that your experience?
Correct.
So
Networking is huge. And before coming here, I was at the Salvation Army in Hartford on Homestead. And I was doing NA and AA groups. And I was also doing groups within the Salvation Army. And I had a network and I had a sponsor. So that's very important to me and for me. So I will be in the rooms of NA. I will be in the rooms of AA. It's all about me finding that balance between a job and having that stability of a home. If I don't have a place to stay and having that foundation under me, then those other things of NA, AA, and a job doesn't fall in place for me. I have to have a solid place to stay. And that's where my struggle was at, having a place to stay. But if I have a place to stay, having my foundation, NA, AA, and a job, that I see that all coming into play.
Just a quick question. I know that I have notes and such. When did you come in this time?
I came in on 3/11/2021.
So in the middle of COVID.
Yes, sir.
Had you had any experience out here with Zoom yet?
No, sir.
Okay, so there's other meetings that are on Zoom.
Okay.
Based upon what you just said about trying to work it out with you know, work and other things like that.
Yes, sir.
There's online meetings today as well.
Okay.
So and I'm glad you're connected. I'm glad that you have a sponsor. Have you heard of CCAR?
Yes.
Okay. And so you know what coaches are.
Yes.
So have you set up at all yet to have a coach on the way with reentry?
No, I don't have that as of yet. But when I had a therapist when I was out there, that's how I knew about CCAR when I was in therapy.
Okay. So what do you think about a coach?
I think that's fabulous, something that I will be interested in.
Right. Is that somebody that knows what the resources are and how to get you connected?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm gonna be pretty honest with you on this arson charge.
Yes.
It's hard when it comes to discretionary parole.
Mm-hmm.
But you've done a lot of really, really good work,
Okay.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and don't lose faith in the direction that you're going in.
I won't.
Board Member Rodriguez, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not many. Just a couple. Good afternoon again, Miss Freeman.
I,
Yeah, the arson charge is hard to get beyond. You initially denied. Do you accept the fact of the arson charge now?
yes, sir.
Okay, that's a good move. Also, when did you start the Prison Fellowship Academy?
June 6th of last year.
Okay, because you had a few tickets. You had a ticket this year for security tampering.
Yes, sir, for a three-way
You
phone
started
call.
this program. It gave you all these skills. How did you get this ticket?
For a three-way phone call, sir.
Well, I know. I realize that. I'm just saying, what happened that you ended up getting this ticket after having this programming that you had that kind of taught you all these different skills of how to be able to avoid some of these particular issues. Why did you get into this to begin with?
To
Why did
get
you
the
get the ticket
ticket.
to begin with?
It was the only way to get a message to my son who got incarcerated. And I made a decision to get a message to my son. I didn't have no other way to get a message to my son. My son never been incarcerated.
And then in September, you said you started out in June. In September, you had another ticket for assault on a DLC employee. What happened there? You didn't use the skill sets there.
So in that situation, an officer and myself was horse playing in the scullery. And I went to SEG for that. They had me in SEG pending investigation for 10 days. I was found guilty on that. On November 19th, I was able to speak with that officer individually. And I was able to make amends with that officer. I never assaulted that officer. That officer never assaulted me. And what I got from that situation was that that officer has rules and regulations that he has to follow as an officer. And I have rules and regulations that I have to follow as an inmate. And I wasn't following the rules as an inmate, and he wasn't following the rules as an officer.
And I got that. I mean, I understand that. My really question centers more around you were already taking some of the programming. What happened that you didn't utilize some of what the program that you had gotten by that point? You had started in June taking programming from the Prison Fellowship Academy. What happened that you didn't start utilizing at that point? And then you had, of course, then you had that follow-up ticket, which you've explained already. But you had that follow-up ticket in March of 24. So 2 tickets after having taken programming that should have given you skill sets to try to avoid getting any of those tickets. And I'm just having kind of a difficulty understanding that a little bit, because you're gonna when you do get released, you're gonna find yourself in situations again. And I want to be able to be sure that you're going to be able to handle those things and be successful. I don't want to see you get any more trouble, right? So
Yes,
I want to
sir.
make sure you're going to be able to handle it. And I've got a situation where you started a program, and then 3 months after you started, or 4 months after you started, boom, you get a ticket for whatever the reason is. You got a ticket for assault, and then 6 months after that, 7 months after that, in June, in March, you got another ticket. So, and the programming was to kind of help you figure out how you make better choices in your life, and how you deal your anger in life, and how you make better
Yes.
decisions. And for some reason, you didn't utilize that. And that I'm just trying to figure out how that will change if you are released.
I think it is. I think, Mr. Rodriguez, you make a valid point. I think what I realize is that it is the little things that has tripped me up. and it has brought me back here. And it's taken me a little bit longer to realize that it's these little things. And even with the ticket in September and then this ticket here in March, I'm still having these little things. And it's not that I don't understand, because I do understand, but I just need to stop doing these little things.
So what's your plan on dealing with those little things?
My plan on dealing with these little things is to cut out the bullshit. I'm just gonna be frank with you, sir.
I like the play of words.
Yeah, I'm gonna be frank with you because it is what it is, sir.
Yeah, thanks
Yeah.
for the play of words.
Yes, sir.
I mean, because I would agree with the chairman that you're doing some good things and you've done some good things and you seem to be working and stuff. And I just, I don't want to see one of these little things bring you back here again. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So that's why kind of I'm asking you these questions. I hope that whatever happens today, that you do continue moving, in a real positive fashion like you're doing, and that you try to, to move in a way that creates less for you instead of
Yes,
more.
sir. I appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
I have no more questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Board Member Rodriguez. Board Member Chance.
I actually don't have any questions, Ms. Freeman. Just to say that I agree with what both you, Mr. Chair, and Mr. Rodriguez have shared with Ms. Freeman.
Thank you. So, where we are is that Ms. Freeman is engaged in programming it will be done the end of May. Her EOS is in August, which is about 10 weeks after programming ends. The arson second charge is a hard one when it comes to discretionary parole for me, especially DOC doesn't have programming that deals with arson. And it's concerning, and that's why it's such a difficult charge to get around when it's on somebody's rap sheet and on this docket. I think that Ms. Freeman is making the best of everything. I think she's doing some really good programming. I think she has a great attitude. I think she has her head really around where she is, what she's doing, and where she wants to go. And I would hope that she continues with that. And it's hard when we have a discretionary case where I'd like to grant, but there's something here that really stands in the way, and I hope that Ms. Freeman understands that, because certainly she's doing incredibly well. That being said, it's the nature and circumstances of the offense that is the stumbling block here today for me. Board Member Rodriguez, anything further?
I would concur with you, Mr. Chair. I think that Ms. Freeman has, been working hard to try to put things together. I think she's had a couple of slips along the way that I think she recognizes, and that I hope that she continues to work on, because under special parole, those little slips will end her back in prison again, so that she kind of really begins to think things out. But I do think that she's doing, trying to do a good job and trying to really make her life better and really prepare her life to be able to, when she gets out, to be able to be successful on the outside. But again, because of the nature of the offense, I'm just not there today.
Board Member Chance?
I have to say, I agree with both of you. She is doing well. She knows what she needs to do to correct where she's going in life. I'm happy for that. But having stated that, the nature and circumstances of the offense is quite serious and one that cannot be ignored today. But in her favor, she's on the right path.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I have halfway house placement, mental health evaluation and treatment is deemed necessary. I have no contact with victim SD. And
It's MT. Remember at the bottom,
It's the assault third victim.
but I
So,
I have it written down.
the assault third is and that doesn't qualify for victim outreach, right? Or you want to put it anyway?
Yeah.
It's an offense involving bodily harm.
The person had serious injuries, so.
On the assault third?
Yeah.
Okay, and MT, got it. Is that it? Halfway house, mental health evaluation treatment is deemed necessary, SD and MT? Or is there?
Yeah. I think that's it.
I had anger management.
Is that what you also had, Board Member Rodriguez, is that all right?
Anger management?
In terms
Yes. That would be
Okay.
fine with me.
of to that. There were some anger issues there. so,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so regarding Heather Freeman, 426-148, I move to deny parole based upon the nature and circumstances of the current offense and set the following special parole stipulations. Halfway house placement, mental health evaluation and treatment is deemed necessary, community-based treatment for anger management, no contact with victims SD or MT. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Ms. Freeman, you understand, right?
Yes, sir.
That we weren't able to do this based upon the nature and circumstances of the offense. But all three of us, really want to wish you well, and you're headed in the right direction. And August, you're going to be back out in August, and just finish up these programs strong and keep that positive attitude. You're doing well.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Have a good day.
Thanks.
This meeting's here, had a Freeman. 426.
All right, let me unpack this and let me get some things off of my chest because this is insane. Now, Sir Richard couldn't find any information on this arson. It's nowhere in the news. There's nothing here. Now, this hearing's back in 2024 before Lady Holly was here. I'm going through the old spreadsheet to look at what hearings I can cover for you. I want to let you know she is out. She's with her parole officer. She hasn't been revoked yet, but she does have special parole up until like 2030 something. So chances are we will see her again 2032. Chances are I bet you we will see her again. She'll be in the return of playlist when she does show up. Right now, she's still out. But listen to this. She shot her husband just a few years before getting this charge. Shot husband in the stomach. This is 2018. This is a dangerous, crazy woman. And you know what they do? That's her assault charge. Not attempted murder, not aggravated, no, assault. And they have no excuses. The entire thing was caught on camera. Can you imagine if I, as went into the state of Connecticut with my gun? I have a gun permit in a different state, but if I was traveling through and it wasn't properly packaged, I would have gotten more time than her. I'm not done. I'll go over the time she shot her husband in the stomach and got I think probation. Think about this. Let this sink in. The parole board and the state of Connecticut, by their laws and by the way they handle the hearing, find someone who lights a building on fire more dangerous than a chomo. The legislation in the state of Connecticut says if you light a building on fire, you commit arson, you have to serve 85% of your sentence. There's no way around it. Essay a child, your own child, your grandchild, your whatever child, 10 children, 50%. You have to only serve 50%. Why? There's no logic to it. It makes no sense. If I sat across from a legislator, I would say, wait a minute. Let's just unpack that real quick. So you consider a building that is insured to be more valuable than altering the life of a child? Or even from the other perspective, like, wait, an arson, well, they can light a building on fire for any given reason, but the odds that they had done it before could be zero. The odds that they'll do it again are probably zero. The odds that they fantasize about lighting buildings on fire are probably very, like what percentage of arsons are actually arsons, where they are obsessive arsons addicted to lighting things on fire? I bet you it's less than 1%, right? So you're locking them up longer. Why? Not to protect society. Not because you think they're going to go and light another building on fire. You're doing it out of retribution. You're doing it because you burnt down our building that's insured. Yeah, and it's a serious crime. It should be a serious crime, but it's not as serious as a chomo. A chomo that probably, if you commit a chomo act, the odds are, the data shows that it is a high likelihood that you'll commit it again. Don't listen to the static 99 or the experts. We know better. And their odds are that they have committed the crime before, and this was the only time they were caught. And the odds are they do fantasize about it, and they are wired wrong, and they want to do it again and again and again. Yet that person gets 50%, and that person gets paroled by the parole board. But this person, and look, I think the parole board made the right decision, but listening to the words that they use, it's too severe of a crime. It's too severe of a crime. Do you get what I'm saying? I hope my rant is connecting with you, because it's just when you take a step back and you think about just those facts, it's maddening. Now let's go back into the time that she shot her husband. It was only December 6, 2018. Let me look at it again. So December 6, 2018, she shoots her husband. She gets a 5-year jail sentence, suspended after 1 year. So she only had to do 1 year. And if she had done good time in jail, she probably got just a few months. I'll just show you this. See? You can see it here in 2018. This is when she shot her husband. 1 year suspended. Good. She's revoked on 8/8 of 2023. Violation of so she violates her probation on 1/14/2020. Okay. Let's look at her other charges. 12/8/2019. She gets arrested for assault of a public safety EMS person. Okay. They give her 4 years jail, suspended after 60 days. So in 2018, she shoots her husband. We know that she didn't get that much. It says here the most she would have gotten is 1 year. But what we know is 12/8/2019, which is less than a year after she shoots her husband, she gets assault. Instead of making her serve the 3 years she owes, the 4 years she owes them, which would be natural. That's what you would think would happen. Wait a minute. So you shoot your husband, you serve less than a year, but don't worry, you're in big trouble. You have 4 years suspended, and then you assault someone, an EMS person, nonetheless, and you only get 60 days. And what I dare to ask, what I ask all the time, because these are the gimmicks of the law, that that there is no truth in sentencing, and it needs to be asked and it needs to be answered. Why is she not backing the 4 years she owes for shooting her husband? And I'm sick and tired of seeing this. 2/10/2020, which would have been 2 months after assaulting this. So really, within immediately when she gets out of jail, the math, immediately she assaults someone again. She goes in front of a judge, 30 days jail. So now a judge, knowing that she shot her husband within a probation period, assaults an EMT, gets out of jail, and immediately assaults someone again, only gives her 30 days jail. Why is she not backing her time? Now, 4/8/2021, she has her arson. Sentenced 4 years jail, special parole 8 years. She also has an assault here. Why is she not backing all her time? Why is she not doing more time? Why are they not throwing? No. Because it's a gimmick. It's all a gimmick. And we're calling it out here. There's nothing short. It's nothing short of insanity. And she's dangerous. And she has write-ups in prison. And she talks like, I would have to call my son a three-way. It's like there's no accountability. It was a bad parole hearing. You are dangerous. She was denied, I guess, so we give them that. But it was like, it didn't make a difference because she has her special parole, and that's why they do it. And now she's, I am confident we will see her again in a revocation hearing because she's please. She's not even ready, not even close to ready to being set free. They are not doing her any favors by letting her out this early. They're not doing the public any favors. And frankly, if she goes and kills someone, it shouldn't be on her. It should be on the sentencing judges and the DAs. Because anyone can see this coming. It's escalating. Here's her crime, more details of a husband she shot. They found a wounded man in the kitchen. The victim initially did not cooperate with officers, saying only that he was confronted by a person, so he's standing up to her, right? Now remember, it's on camera. They don't need him. He later acknowledged that his wife was the shooter. Police obtained surveillance video of the shooting, which shows her point the gun towards his chest in a driveway outside the restaurant and pull the trigger. If that's not attempted murder, I don't know what is, ladies and gentlemen. And what did a judge give her? Because she's probably the victim, right? Poor her. She's just the mother with, oh no. She got 1 year jail, suspended, and she didn't even serve it. I don't know how much she served, maybe a handful of months. And then she goes on to light down a building, which caused bodily injury. We don't have info on it, but that's what it says, with bodily injury. But there you have it. They call this justice, but this is insane. The point of the Department of Corrections, Mr. Roche says this very elegantly. 3 reasons: to protect society from people who are dangerous, to rehabilitate, to make it so they won't do it again, and retribution. This incarceration has done absolutely none of those. It does not check rehabilitating. We can all see that she's getting write-ups in prison. She's not taking accountability. She doesn't even, he's like yesing them to death. I'm going to do 90 and 90. This is my 10th step. This, blah, blah, nothing. It's not protecting society. I mean, she's right back out in the streets. And it's not retribution. It's just not even that bad. She's got prison, get the meals, now get, housing. And that's why we do this. And that's why the states continue to fight us on not airing these channels. You know how many states have fought us so far? Vermont, Utah, Connecticut, Louisiana, every state that we have covered, Iowa, has fought back. They don't want public meetings to be public. Think about that. I wonder why. Because they're being exposed. And with that, I'll let you go.
I didn't hear you acknowledge the charge of, the risk of injury to your son.
This is an 85% case because of the arson, right?
Yes,
The
sir.
arson second with bodily injury.
I
Because of
understand.
what you did. So it would go a long way. And you didn't express any concern for your son who was the victim.
So in that situation, an officer and myself was horse playing in the scullery. And I went to SEG for that.